Hello, this is Baron Glass, host of the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on the all-new #1 global radio station, WMAD. Before I do my live broadcasting, I always dine in at the all-new Main Street Seafood Restaurant located in downtown Columbia, Louisiana, owned and operated by Miss Brett. Check them out. I did. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. Today, we're going to be talking once again about local politics. Why is it important to vote locally? Last night, we did a show on racism, race relation. Is it better or worse in 2015? So before I go directly into the heart of tonight's show, I had an individual listener out there last night who was kind enough to share their thought with me on the show. And I will read it as follows. Excellent show on race relation, Mr. Glass. Thank you so much for not being afraid to talk about tough topics with such eloquence, especially those topics that nurture and encourage unity. I am following you and share this information with everyone who is connected with me, and I would like to encourage others to do the same. The only way we will see progress in our country and our communities is to unite and stand firmly together. Thanks again for all you do. So to that listener, if you happen to be listening tonight, I want to say thank you for having the courage yourself to take the time to send that message from your heart to me and all of those that represent the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. And those who represent this station, this program, is a combination of individuals from all walks of life. There are women, there are different nationalities, there's different economical backgrounds, so forth and so on. So when we look at certain things, and we try to make a label just because you don't know who the person may be or what you think about a person, that boat does not float in 2015. Again, today, we're going to be talking about why it's important to vote in local election. We got several housekeeping announcements that we're going to make. And each and every night that we do, Thursday night rather, that we do local politics, I'm going to make sure that I give you as much information as possible about what's going on in your particular area, about who is elected in your particular area, who your police juror is, who your school board member is, so forth and so on. But before I do that, I have a question. Are you tired of the same old lies by the same old media outlets? Do you live in a geographical area where there is no political discussion worthwhile listening to? I am here to inform you. The Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass is on the move in 2015, providing a progressive conversation with a diverse group of people who are trying to simply make a difference. You can join the discussion by going to www.thesmokingglasshour.com. And I would ask that you please tell your friends, your families, and your colleagues about the show. You can also download the app on your cell phone, so wherever you're at, you can be listening live and continue about your day-to-day operation. All you have to do is just click on the link at www.thesmokingglasshour.com, and you can be a part of the progressive movement. Again, tonight's show, we will talk about local things that's going on. We'll talk about candidates that's running for sheriff. We'll talk about candidates that's running for clerk of court. And tonight we will feature one of those candidates by reading their bio. This right here is what I call free advertising, and it can't be beat during any election cycle. Let's look at Caldwell Parish vote for recreation millage renewal. And that renewal will cover, once again, T-ball, Dixie Youth, in the Brownville ballpark, and any other recreational activities that's going on in the parish. You can look for that proposal, which it will state, for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, operating, and or maintaining public recreational facilities here in Caldwell Parish. Let's also look at the recreational center. Some of the activities that are going on there. I believe July the 5th through July the 9th. They will be offering basketball and cheer from 6 to 8:30. And that is sponsored by First Baptist Church. On July the 14th, 21st, and the 28th, they will be offering nutrition classes, and it's by the Ag Center, and it will start daily, I believe, at 10:30 a.m. But if you need more information on this particular announcement, you can contact Miss Crystal Grafton or the Recreation Center itself at area code 318-649-2326. Now, we also know that this year is an election cycle. It will feature individual candidates from the governor's race, lieutenant governor, attorney general, state senator, state representative, and then we start to come locally. And locally, you will have the sheriff race. Locally, you will have the clerk of court race. And locally, you will have Caldwell Parish Police jury's race. And the jurors are as follows. Representing District 1 is Mr. Robert Washam, which will be up for re-election. Representing District 2 will be Mr. Lanny Dart. Representing District 3 will be Miss Bobby Harrison. Representing District 4 will be Mr. Eddie Hearns. Representing District 5 will be Mr. Manuel Escalon. Representing District 6 will be Mr. Glenn Barnhill. And of course, representing District 7 will be Mr. Charles Fluke Braddock. And the meeting dates for the Caldwell Parish Police Jury is the first Monday of each month at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time, and the first Thursday after the 15th of each month at 7 o'clock p.m. Now, I believe I saw somewhere on Facebook where there is a candidate who has already announced their candidacy, I believe in District 6. So if you are out there listening and you are in District 6, will you please have that individual, I forget the name and I don't want to incorrect pronounce it. I forget who it is, but if you will have them to contact me by getting me their bio, I will do the same favor for them as I have done for all these other candidates. Now, the free advertising goes up until maybe July the 15th or somewhere shortly thereafter. And from that point, if you want the listeners to be involved in your candidacy, then it's going to have to pay to play. Because we're doing this as a community service, and we feel like we are doing a good job by informing the populace about who is running. Okay, let's look at the Grayson Town Council. Okay, the Grayson Town Council, they meet every second Tuesday of the month at 5 o'clock p.m. The mayor for Grayson is Miss Carmen Head. They have 3 council members, Mr. Raymond Cruz, Miss Sandra Evans, Mr. Jimmy Whittington, and the chief of police, which is candidate running for sheriff, Mr. Mitch Bratton. Let's take it down a little further. Let's look at the Columbia Town Council. Okay, and the Columbia Town Council, they meet every second Tuesday of the month. The mayor for the town of Columbia is Mr. Charles Simons. They have 5 council members, Mr. Melvin Robinson, Mr. Richard Meredith, Mr. Ken Brockner, Miss Bonnie Crockett, Mr. Bruce Fraser, and the town marshal, who is a candidate for sheriff himself, Mr. Clay Bennett. Now, when we go to the educational aspect, which is a Caldwell Parish School Board, they meet the first Tuesday of each month. The candidate and the individual who represents Ward 1 is Mr. David May, who is a candidate for the clerk of court in Caldwell Parish. In Ward 2, we have Miss Jody Kennett. In Ward 3, we have the board president, Dr. John Robinson. In Ward 4, we have Mr. Baron Glass. In Ward 5, we have Mr. C.R. Martin. Ward 6, we have Mr. Jack McKithen. Ward 7, we have Mr. Gary Castles. Now, that election will take place on October 24th of 2015. Now, the early elections will be October 10th through the 17th. Now, the qualifying dates for this upcoming election is September the 8th through the 10th of 2015. The primary race is October the 24th, once again, 2015, and the general election is, which would be the runoff, is November the 11th, November the 21st, rather, of 2015. Now, we know that the early voting opens at, I believe, 8 or 8:30, something around that area. So what I'm going to do right now, we're looking at about 8:13 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to pause. I'm going to play you a little sound of Mr. Eric E.Q. Youngs out of the Bay Area. This guy happens to play for the band Confunction, for those of you out there who know a little bit about R&B music. I had the opportunity of interviewing Eric with the band. Well, not with the band, but from the band Confunction. He now has his own album that's out right now. His song is titled Let's Ride. But in that family, they have Mr. Sean Gales, who is the drummer for the rapper Too Short. They also have Mr. Ramon Gooden, who is a producer for the Digital Underground. He produced and they rolled with Tupac Shakur and some of the other individuals that are out there. And his dad, Sean's dad, which is Mr. Howard Gales, and he played with Larry Graham, which is Larry Graham, the Sly and the Family Stone. And Sean and his dad, they have an upcoming event, I believe that's going to take place sometimes in next month. Now, let me tell you how all of this has taken place in the last week. I had the opportunity yesterday to listen directly to a conversation via phone with Mr. Joe Pesci. Okay, now, we also was going to reach out to Mr. Samuel L. Jackson, along with, I believe it's Bill Durham, or whatever, I believe that's his name, and I'll come back and fact check it if I have to. But we are in the process of going back to doing our live interviews one-on-one with different guests. So I haven't stopped doing that. I was just taking my time to get everything set up because we are now broadcasting in a very good place, an excellent facility, and so forth and so on. So as I stated, we're going to pause right now, and we're going to play a little Eric E.Q. Young, Let's Ride, and after that, I'll be right back.
If you are looking for some good music to listen to while on the job, while driving, or simply want to relax, move on over to thesmokingglasshour.com and scroll to the bottom of the page. Press play, or you can download the TuneIn app on your smartphone and search for WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio. Give us a chance to massage those ears with some good sultry sounds with music for adults and lovers. You are now listening to WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio. I want to send a special shout out to Mr. Bill Masters. I had an opportunity to meet this guy yesterday as he's driving through, and I believe Mr. Bill is elected as the constable down and on the south side of the town, which represent, I believe, everything on the south side of the bridge. So, Mr. Bill, I want to say thanks for you sitting out there listening to us, and if you got any input at some point in time, I'd love to bring you on so we can talk about local politics and see how you think things are going to be shaping up in this upcoming election in 2015. Again, we are on the move in 2015, so we love to bring in guests, talk live, let's talk politics, casual conversation with people from everyday walks of life, and that's how you actually learn. So, Mr. Bill, also again, I want to say thanks for tuning in to the Smoking Glass Hour talking about local politics. Now, we're going to talk about Miss Dina Domain. Dina is a candidate that's running for the clerk of court. And Dina says this. She says that the clerk of court office is a vital office handling the legal history of Caldwell Parish that requires someone with legal knowledge and experience to run. I am much more than a public defender, attorney. I work with clerks of courts in civil, criminal, juvenile, and property law in many state, city, and municipal courts, which gives me a unique perspective to bring new ideas to the clerk of court office. My years of legal experience, my background, and my education will allow me to be an effective, useful clerk of court for all of Caldwell Parish. A vote for Dina Domain is a vote for your future. As a mother of two children, Aiden and Mason, I want to make a difference in Caldwell Parish. If elected, I intend to reduce filing fees to give more people access to justice and allow more small claims to be pursued instead of abandoned because the cost is too high. My credentials as an attorney, as your clerk of court, will allow me to help so many who cannot afford a consultation fee to ask a simple question. My door will be open to all. I humbly ask for your vote to put my experience to work for you. Dina Domain. I know the law. I know legal procedure. I know I can be an effective, useful clerk of court for Caldwell Parish. Dina's education is as follows. A Bachelor of Science from Louisiana State University, or LSU, with Information Systems and Decision Sciences with emphasis in business management. A Juris Doctorate, LSU Law School, admitted to practice law in Louisiana in 1999, admitted to practice law in Texas in 2005. Dina's legal experience is as follows. Victims Assistance Coordinator, assisting victims of domestic abuse prepare and file pleadings for help with the courts. Assistant District Attorney, worked with clerks of courts in many parishes obtaining criminal records and filing documents. She's a trial attorney with McKithen, Ryland, Champaign, and Domain. She's prepared and filed legal pleadings like civil, criminal, succession, land and title disputes. She's worked with clerks of courts in Louisiana state courts, city courts, and mayor's courts. She's a municipal attorney for the Village of Grayson. She works closely with the clerks to ensure that proper paperwork is maintained, notices sent, and records maintained. She's a magistrate for Clark's Mayor's Court. She works closely with the clerk to ensure legal proceedings are conducted properly and proceedings are recorded. She's a certified juvenile attorney, familiar with the specialized procedures that apply only to juveniles. She was named as a top lawyer in Louisiana by the Legal Network in 2013. And I believe that publication is the Pocket Constitutionalist, the 7th edition, 2013, contributing author. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just introduced you live Miss Dina Domain. Not only have I introduced Miss Dina Domain, I have introduced Mr. David May. I have introduced Miss Lauren Young. I have introduced Miss Cherie Cox. I have also introduced candidate for sheriff, Mr. Clay Bennett, Mr. Mitch Bratton, Mr. Hank Balls, Mr. Courtney Dunn, and Mr. David Crane. Now, you have the opportunity to make a conscious decision on October the 24th. And the question again tonight is why we must vote in local elections. It is absolutely imperative that we become a part of the process. And we can only become a part of the process if we get involved. We can't be afraid to get involved, because if we do, we lose out. Now, I want to thank Mr. Bill Masters. He says that he represents from the foot of the hill north. Okay, and that is the constable, one of the constables of Caldwell Parish, Mr. Bill Masters. Again, thank you for tuning in and listening to the Smoking Glass Hour. And at some point, Mr. Bill, as I said, I would love to bring you on. Again, tonight, on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. Excuse me. Why we must vote in local election. You, as a voter, are much more likely to spot your town's mayor, your school board president, your police juror president, your constable like Mr. Bill Masters, or your sheriff at your local grocery store than you will ever see President Obama. If you will see the United States Senator or the state governor. If a pothole develops on your street, you'll probably be calling your local police juror to get it fixed. So once again, why we must vote in local elections. When a traffic accident happens in your town, an officer of the local sheriff's office will probably be the first responder on the scene. Once again, why we must vote in the local election. Parents on 5 days a week in certain places, 4 days a week here in Caldwell Parish, they will put their children on the school bus in the morning so they can go to the local schools, and when they have a problem, they can call their local school board member. Again, why we must vote in local elections. On October the 24th of 2015, most parishes in Louisiana will hold elections to choose the next governor, the next lieutenant governor, the next state senator, the next state representative, the next police jurors, the next sheriff and clerks of courts, and several others that you will see on the ballot. The police jurors that vote for or against resolutions that approves the budgets for public works. Once again, I ask you why we must vote in local elections. The candidates for sheriffs that oversees the police department that fight drugs in your neighborhood or protect and serve. Again, local elections are important to your day-to-day life. Local government elections are important for the health of the democracy in our country. Our state of Louisiana, more importantly, our parish of Caldwell. These elections enable ordinary citizens like you and I to become responsible for the financial and administrative affairs of their areas. By taking important posts and responsibilities, local people can feel that they are an integral part of the system, so their stake in the system increases. Anyone, and I do mean anyone, who can vote for their local elected officials should remember the candidates they choose will be making vital decisions about their streets, how we go about controlling drugs, how we go about enforcing the law, how we go about affecting the local economy, and once again, how we go about creating diversity in Caldwell Parish. If you think about what government provides on a daily basis, schools, transit, let's look at the Council on Aging, water supply, let's look at Columbia Heights, let's look at waste and sewage proposal, let's look at public health, fire, police. Those things are mostly provided by local government. Once again, the Smoking Glass Hour is asking you why we must vote in local election. And if those services are not adequate, guess what? People have to supplement out of their pocket on a daily basis. The president and the Congress and their policies have the potential to affect the micro direction of the economy. And that affects people's lives in a big way. Now, however, I think local government is more likely to impact the quality of life, what the neighborhoods look like, and things of that nature. So once again, I hope that I'm honing in why we must vote in local election. And we're going to be joined here shortly by a guest in the studio. And I'm going to pose several questions to this individual, which we won't announce the name. But we're going to talk create a little dialogue about what's going on. But before I do that, I've had a lot of requests for this song. And the song is by Alabama, Feel So Right. So whoever's out there requesting this song, here we go. Feel So Right by Alabama.
It's time to take back control of our society. Today's world requires an open and honest discussion about the current events. On the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, our goal is to engage people from different walks of life into a healthy discussion, creating a positive outcome. When it comes to global events, tune in to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on Monday nights at 7:30. We don't just listen to the news, we bring you the news.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. Now, this is just how honest we are. There was a mistake made just before we went on the break on Eye of the Tiger Survivor. And see, what we try to do here is let people know that we are human. And as we live lives as humans, we're going to make a mistake. So charge that to our head and not our heart. The music was on mute, and I got a message that I could not hear the music. So we hurry up and press the play button, and you were able to hear the song by Alabama. So again, we want you to know that we are human. Nobody's perfect. And that's what a lot of people need to start doing, which is live lives as human and let people know that you make a mistake. When you make a mistake, be apologetic about it, be contrite about it, and move on. Tonight's topic, once again, why we must vote in local elections. The Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD, 24-hour Global Radio. With those things that we talk about, will they impact your personal finances? The question that you may ask or you may say is that depends. It depends on a lot of variables. It might not give you a bigger tax refund, but social programs that are local and improvements to neighborhoods and roads could increase your property value. It could decrease crime, or it could save you money that you can use to fix your vehicle. You can use to fix your home. You can use to do a lot of other things. So again, the question is, why we must vote in local elections. More importantly, people need to realize that the federal spending is shaped by an intimate relationship with local governments and the people who influence them. Most of the governments that matters in our daily lives and an awful lot of federal spending and federal programs, guess what? They are happening because local communities want them. Your local city council, your local police bureau, your local sheriff's office, your local school board offices, your local mayoral offices. And that's why voting in the local elections is so important. Because these officials have the power to shape the federal tax dollars that ultimately come back home to you. National politics always get more airtime. National politics always get the headline. Finally, national politics always get the attention. But local elections affect your life much more than what's happening in Washington, D.C., which is why the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass is bringing you local and state politics each and every Thursday night, for sure, with unannounced broadcasts as well. The sad part about all of this is that the importance of local elections don't always show at the polls. Now, we know that local elections often fall victim of low voter turnout as a result of either one of two things. And here we are. It's either because of public ignorance or simple complacency. And again, why we must vote in local elections. This is exactly why we are talking local and state politics each and every Thursday night, because local elections, once again, they often fall victim to low voter turnout as a result of public ignorance or simple complacency. Now, for those who are running, who may be out there listening, you may want to take heed to what has just been said, because you need their vote. It is up to you to find a way to successfully get them out so they can come and vote for you, so they can go and vote for you. People usually vote when they think that the outcome is relevant to their lives. Okay? Unfortunately, their perception about what is relevant is frequently distorted. Okay? Local elections, the elections where people actually have the most influence over the outcome and often the most at stake, usually have once again the lowest voter turnout. That is why, once again, we at the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass want to remind citizens locally and throughout the state to vote on October 24th of 2015. All parishes will decide whether to renew a recreational millages. Acquiring, here in Caldwell Parish, the millage will be for the acquiring, the constructing, the improving, the operation, and maintaining public recreational facilities in the entire parish of Caldwell that have been on the ballot for years. A vote to renew, make sure you understand, a vote to renew is a vote to sustain a brighter future for the parish of Caldwell. It is important for people to understand our message is clear. We want you, the voter, to have all of the information regarding the electoral process locally and know as much about each candidate as possible. So when you go and vote, you will vote knowing who you are voting for and why you have chosen to vote for that particular candidate. We think it is good for us to keep you informed. In fact, we believe that it's important for ordinary people to be well informed, and the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass is doing just that, keeping you informed. It is important, okay, very important, that people understand that when we say that we wholeheartedly support informing the people, we mean all people of all races, of all backgrounds. We believe that an informed voter is necessary and desirable to provide support for good choices in choosing the next candidate for the next 4 years. The question again, why we must vote in local elections. We know that election days are up on us every 4 years and in some cases every 2 years. Not just because we finally have a break from the nonstop spin, the nonstop rhetoric, the vitriol that has accompanied this lengthy election session from the president's election on down. Now, I'm excited because I get to vote, and I love voting, and I hope that we can encourage others to vote. I have distinct memories of going to vote as an 18-year-old child. Walking into those booths was incredible. It was an incredible privilege to have the opportunity to vote. I'm always humbled that anyone would want to know what I think personally. That my vote is exactly as important as that of a millionaire or as a president. It is really quite remarkable. Take a minute to consider the incredible privilege that we have here in this country. We get to weigh in. We get to help determine the priorities of our nation and our local community. I know we often take it for granted, but in the scope of history, it truly is a unique honor. I know some will disagree and say that my one vote doesn't really make a difference. That even if it does count, the Electoral College will select in the president's election, or my vote locally won't count because those who have more money than me can actually sway the election. That is so far from the truth, and such arguments miss the important point. First of all, voting is your civic duty. You want to be a part of society with paved roads that are good, an educational population, a safety net that keeps children from starving, local mail post offices, phone services in rural communities, hospitals, and much, much more. And your vote can decide that. If you benefit from those services, and we all do, it is your job, it is your obligation to go and vote locally. As we consider the devastation of all of these natural catastrophes, it is more important that you go and vote. Good leadership at all levels is essential in moments of crisis such as these. An argument about voting dismisses the importance of local politics. What impacts your life the most? The presidential election or your local school board election? The presidential election or your local police juror election? The president election or your local sheriff election? Your state representative or your vice president? I'm willing to bet that your local officials have more to do with the quality of your daily life than anyone on the top of the ticket. And in local elections, a handful of individual votes really can change the shape of your community. There is no such thing as not voting. You either vote by voting or you vote by staying at home and tactically doubting the value of your vote. The question is this: can you live with other people setting your community agenda for you? Please don't think your vote don't matter. Be informed about your rights. Join me at the polls. Bring your neighbor and tell a friend. Our communities will be stronger if informed members join in speaking out. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to pause for about 3 minutes and 46 seconds. And I'm going to come back and have a little dialogue with a special guest that is here now in the studio. And we're going to talk live one-on-one about the upcoming election. So if you don't mind, stay tuned. If you got to go and take a break or something, go ahead on and do it. You got 3 minutes and 46 seconds. Because what I'm doing now, I'm going to bring, I have brought a voter, a young voter, off the street. The street in quotation, not meaning it literally, but figuratively. I brought an individual from the everyday walks of life into the studio, and that person and I are going to talk live here on the Smoking Glass Hour. So if you are a candidate, you might want to listen. Or if you are a friend of it or a supporter of a candidate, you might want to have them to go back, if they're not listening now, to listen to the archive, because we're going to talk one-on-one. You're listening to the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. It's about 8:48 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to listen to a little of Survivor, Eye of the Tiger.
Hello, this is Pastor A.F. Riggins of Real Life Church, Houston, Texas. We welcome you to hear our broadcast every Tuesday night right here on Blog Talk USA and WMAD Radio, www.smokingglasshour.com. Real people, real life, real answers, a Bible study. Every morning on WMAD Radio and SpokenGlassHour.com, 7 a.m., Monday through Friday, you hear a Word of God, a sermon. And on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m., same place, you can hear a Word of God. If you're in the Houston area, come and visit us at the Real Life Church, 2703 Highway 6 South, Suite 150 in Houston, Texas. 10:45 a.m. is our worship. Also, you can tune in to Blog Talk USA on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. for Wrap It Up Live. Community issues with real people, real life, and real answers. This is Pastor A.F. Riggins. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Looking forward to hearing you on our broadcast. Remember, prayer still works. That's good news. That's the power in the name of Jesus to break every chain. Amen.
We are back broadcasting live with the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour global radio. It's about 8:54 p.m. Central Standard Time. Let me send another special shout out to the bad boys of GSU, Mr. Robert Bruno, no tie-down rider out of Grambling State University, one of the baddest DJs in South Louisiana. We're joined right now in the studio as we talk about why we should vote in local elections. We have a young voter who is going to be possibly running for a local office herself. And we're going to talk just a little about what's going on in local politics. I want to welcome this individual to the studio. How are you doing tonight?
I'm fine.
Okay. I need you to speak just a little bit louder so the listening viewers out there can hear you.
I'm fine.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You know that in October of this year, the 24th date, there will be local elections from the governor's race on down to the local municipalities, including the sheriff races, the clerk of court races, police jury races, so forth and so on. So having said that, let me ask you this. What do you look for, or what do you like to see in a candidate that's running for office locally? Tell us, the listening audience that's out there, what do you look for in a candidate that's running for office?
First and foremost, being educated on how to work effectively in a diverse environment. Also, being themselves, not trying to alter their persona to get the vote from another that has a different background from themselves.
Okay. When you say alter, can you specifically define what you're saying so candidates that are out there can understand that when they go and talk to a voter, you're saying that you want to see, or you would like to see, the genuine person, not somebody who is uncomfortable or not somebody who's acting like they're one thing, but in retrospect, they're something totally different. Is that what you're saying?
Right. I just want people to be comfortable in speaking to all people and not just, one.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you need to make sure, or you would like to make sure, that people are being genuine with who they are, and you can better get more information about them as to whether you'd like to vote for them or not.
Yes.
Okay, in the local sheriff races, does it matter who the candidate's chief deputy is before running for office, or does that really matter? Because the reason why I'm asking is there's been several people who have come to me directly and indicated that they would like to know, because that person actually represents the office. And if that person is not in line, then they feel like the actual candidate, him or herself, may not be in line. So how do you feel about that?
I feel that the chief deputy and the sheriff must go hand in hand with any ideas that one may have. The job of the sheriff is incomplete if the chief deputy is absent in any aspect. It's important, and it's an important administrative position assisting the sheriff.
Okay, I understand that. So you're saying that. Let me ask this. Now, you represent the millennials. Now, if you're representing the millennials, would you say that it's this is basically speaking more, for those individuals, because I want you to make sure that you speak loud and clear in the mic, because there are people out there who are listening, and they need to understand that the young voters are the most important votes that's out there, because you guys have you're technically savvy and all of those. You use cell phone. So tell us once again. And if you don't mind, you can go a little bit deeper. You can stay right where you're at. You feel that the chief deputy represents exactly who the sheriff is.
Right. If for any reason the sheriff had to be absent for some reason, the chief deputy must be able to step up and take the position.
Okay. I believe that that's a very good point, and hopefully people will take heed of it. Let me ask you this. For public office holders such as myself and many other people that are out there, and you yourself who may be running for office at some point in time, how important should diversity be in any elected official's administration?
Diversity is important in all aspects of life. Being that you're in a public office, diversity is important because everyone must feel that they are treated equally. Diversity refers to human qualities that are different from our own. In the context of the workplace, valuing diversity means creating a workplace that respects and includes differences. Diversity allows you to recognize the unique contributions that individuals with many types of differences can make. This, in turn, creates a work environment that maximizes the potential of all employees.
Okay, so when we look at the millennials, those who are, younger, we look at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, so forth and so on. When we look at politics now in 2015, do you see public service totally different being the way that it was back in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, even on up into the 90s? And by that I mean diversity now plays much more of a greater role with people now than it did back then. Would you characterize it as that way, or would you characterize it different?
I would characterize it as that way. Diversity not only includes race and culture, it also includes the gender, it also includes ages. It's a wide range. And when you're running for a public office, you have to be able to include everybody, not just one race, not just one age group, but everyone.
Okay, so when we look at diversity overall, we're not talking just about diversity in color. We're talking about diversity in age, diversity in geographical area, diversity in economic status, so forth and so on. So we're talking about all aspects of diversity. So for those who are out there listening, make sure you understand diversity has many facets when it comes to that term. So we're trying to make sure that we tell a neighbor, tell a friend that there are certain things that people are looking for now when people are running for office. Now, my final question to you is this. I don't want to hold you up too long. Would you support or advise candidates that are running for office to participate in a public forum for you and the voters to see how they will perform in a large group of people so people can get a better understanding of who they are and who they represent?
Yes, I strongly advise any candidate running for office to participate in public forums. You never know who you are reaching out to. With today's technology and social media, it's 99.9% more effective in reaching out to all. Those who don't get the face-to-face campaign will more than likely hear or see about it, on social media or in public forums. So it's best to campaign in all possible ways that you can, not by just walking around handing out flyers, but also by giving public speeches, being on public forums, anything in the public.
You bring up a very important point, because I was coming to work the other day, and I noticed a lot of signs in the neighborhood, and the thought that came to my mind was this: is that it's good to see candidate signs in the voters' yards. But what the candidate needs to understand is that it is even better to see that candidate live and in person, knocking on the door, talking eye to eye with the voter. Would you characterize that as good or bad?
That is good. That is a very good way to get the voter to vote for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to say I appreciate you taking out your time because we're looking at about 9:03 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I know people are getting ready to go to bed, but local politics is important. And the question that we have been asking tonight is why we must vote in local elections. So I want to thank you for taking out your time and coming into the studio and talking live right here on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24 Hours Global Radio, where we are on the move in 2015. And our message is clear, that we want you, the voter, to have the best of all pieces of knowledge. So when you go inside the voting booth, that you can have a clear understanding of who you are voting for. We're going to pause right now and take about a minute commercial break, and we'll come back and we'll close out the segment. Again, I want to thank you for taking out the time, and I want to also thank all of those who are out there listening right now, under the sound of my voice. I want to say thank you for tuning in. We're going to pause, like I said, and we'll be right back. Racism, the belief that all members of each race possess characteristics or abilities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to another race or races. Baron Glass, host of the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass, each and every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the #1 global 24-hour radio station, WMAD. Join my co-host, April Ayala, and I as we make an attempt to bring this evil system and a way of life for some to the forefront and have an open discussion with civility and honesty with hopes of minimizing this problem that has affected so many lives. We ask that you join us. We all can make a change, and we surely can make a difference.
If you think our political climate today is bad, you should read Fergus M. Bordowich's fascinating book, America's Great Debate. 1850 was a very contentious year in the United States. The Civil War was to begin in the following decade. The issue of slavery had always been divisive in our nation, but it was an enormous problem then. So was the controversy about admitting the territories of Texas, Utah, New Mexico, and California into the Union. Annexing Cuba was also under consideration. It took 3 weeks to elect a new Speaker of the House. One representative told his hated and bitter rival, "You are a liar, sir." A melee broke out on the House floor. The sergeant-at-arms swung a huge Roman ceremonial mace above his head to calm things down. One writer observed, "Madness rules the House." Since the days of George Washington, Americans have sincerely disagreed about politics. That will never change. Knowing our own history may help us breathe a little deeper. History can help put things into a much wider context. There's enormous value in having an enlarged worldview. Now, a reading from Job 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, "Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Now prepare yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? To what were its foundations fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for glory? Or who shut in the sea with doors, when it burst forth and issued from the womb? When I made the clouds its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling band? When I fixed my limit for it, and set bars and doors? When I said, this far you may come, but no farther, and here your proud waves must stop. Have you commanded the morning since your days began, and caused the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, and the wicked be shaken out of it. It takes on form like clay under a seal, and stands out like a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and the upraised arm is broken. Have you entered the springs of the sea, or have you walked in the search of the depths? Have the gates of death been revealed to you, or have you seen the doors of the shadow of death? Have you comprehended the breadth of the earth? Tell me if you know all of this. Where is the way to the dwelling of light? And darkness, where is its place? That you may take it to its territories, that you may know the paths to its home. Do you know it because you were born then, or because the number of your days is great? Have you entered the treasury of snow, or have you seen the treasury of hail, which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war? By what way is light diffused, or the east wind scattered over the earth? Who has divided a channel for the overflowing water, or a path for the thunderbolt, to cause it to rain on a land where there is no one, a wilderness in which there is no man, to satisfy the desolate waste and cause to spring forth the growth of tender grass? Has the rain a father? Or who has begotten the drops of dew? From whose womb comes the ice, and the frost of heaven? Who gives it birth? The waters harden like stone, and the surface of the deep is frozen. Can you bind the cluster of Pleiades, or loose the belt of Orion? Can you bring out Mazareth in its season? Or can you guide the great bear with its cubs? Do you know the ordinances of heavens? Can you set their dominion over the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, that an abundance of water may cover you? Can you send out lightnings, that they may go, and say to you, here we are? Who has put wisdom in the mind, or who has given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds by wisdom, or who can put out the bottles of heaven? When the dust hardens in clumps and the clods cling together, can you hunt the prey for the lion, or satisfy the appetite of the young lions when they crouch in their dens or lurk in their lairs to lie in wait? Who provides food for the raven when its young ones cry to God and wander about for the lack of food? Job could not require God to give the answers. Instead, through rhetorical questions, God revealed his power and perfection to Job. Job and his friends needed to decide how they would respond to God. Elihu told Job that God was too powerful to communicate with people. God proved Elihu wrong by speaking to Job. You are listening to Perceptions on WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio.
We are back broadcasting live on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-Hour Global Radio. Just during the break, I think there were several people who thought maybe we had gone off air, whatever the case may be, because of the commercial. No, you are listening live to the Smoking Glass Hour. That commercial is called Perceptions in Politics. And every time we do a broadcast, we always have perceptions. We have perceptions, and then we come back with a little biblical quote of some kind, because we believe that the only way you can go from point A to point B is to always include a certain component of the ministry. And that ministry, our ministry, is that of Jesus Christ. So once again, I want to send a shout out to Mr. Bill Masters, who's out there listening in live. I believe there are some individuals down in South Louisiana that's listening. Again, the bad boys from GSU, Mr. No Tie Down Routers and Mr. and his co-host, the baddest DJs that are out there. So if you're down in South Louisiana and you need some good DJing anywhere across the state, you can check out Mr. No Tie Down Riders and Robert Bruno, along with Miss Lorraine Legg that's out there listening. I believe there's a lot of family that's out there listening. I know that several of the candidates are listening. I won't call the name, at least they indicated that they would be listening. So we have tried our best to answer the question, why we must vote in local elections. And I hope, using this sports analogy, either we hit a home run, we scored a touchdown, or we made the final bucket. And if we didn't, charge it to our heads and not our hearts. Remember, October 24th, 2015, we have local and statewide elections. It is absolutely important that you take part in the democratic process and get out there and vote. I want to thank my in-studio guest for taking out of her time to come in and broadcast live on the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass on WMAD 24-hour Global Radio. Now, before we go, you can catch us on any social media that's out there. Facebook, the Smoking Glass Hour with Baron Glass. Twitter, at Baron Glass Hour. LinkedIn, Baron Glass. At Tumblr, the Smoking Glass Hour, WordPress. The Smoking Glass Hour, Pinterest. The Smoking Glass Hour, SoundCloud. The Smoking Glass Hour, YouTube. The Smoking Glass Hour, Google+. The Smoking Glass Hour and Baron Glass on Instagram. Baron Glass Hour on Spreaker. The Smoking Glass Hour website. Tune in, WMAD Radio. Also, you can text me directly at 81010 and put in the subject line at WMAD, and that means you will be able to hear any broadcast unannounced live, because we have scheduled broadcasts and we have unannounced broadcasts, because we believe when there is a trending topic going on out there, we want to be on it like white on rice. We want to be on it. We want to make sure that you are involved. Because again, if you listen to the local news station, it's giving you something from a geographical area or a regional area. The Smoking Glass Hour is talking not only about national, not only about state, but we're talking locally, directly here in Caldwell Parish, Columbia, Louisiana. So once again, I want to thank Miss Dina Domain for submitting her information, along with David May, Lauren Young, Cherie Cox, Mr. Clay Bennett, Mr. Mitch Bratton, Mr. Hank Balls, Mr. Courtney Dunn, and Mr. David Crane. I want to say once again, thanks from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for tuning in, and may the good Lord be with you always and allow you to wake up tomorrow so you, the voter and or the listener, can go out and make a difference. And remember to tell a neighbor and tell a friend to help somebody along the way. Want to say thank you,